What's up, everybody? Superworks fan here for another weekly update. So, what's new with the Mustang? Nothing at all, honestly. I'm at 4,350 miles here. You don't have a press car here for the next couple of weeks because I'll be going out of town. If you watched the announcement video about SEMA and LA and all that stuff, then you'll already know. If not, definitely go and watch that video. But because I'm going to be away all next week, I will not be able to do a weekly update next week. So I wanted to let you guys know that so that you're not expecting any kind of weekly update next week. Of course, you know, a lot of the stuff that's going to be in the news next week will be all the SEMA cars that debuted and stuff like that. And I'll be trying to cover those a lot on social media, so definitely, you know, go follow me on Instagram. I'll be posting a bunch of stuff on there, you know, at SuperWorksFanOfficial, and of course also on Twitter, Snapchat, all that kind of stuff. All the social media links are in the description below for all that. But yes, that's it. So I'll just send it over to me at the news desk for this week's news. Right, for this week's news, the first thing is something very interesting and unexpected, and that is that Hyundai this past week was spied doing one lap around the Nurburgring in the what it looks like to be an RM16 N, which is the concept that they debuted at the Busan Motor Show here earlier this year. And you know, it was just some crazy race car looking thing, and you know, everyone was like, "Oh, that's cool! It's a mid-engine hot hatchback. That'll never get made." And then they actually look like they're working on a production version, and it looks exactly like the concept, which never happens. So I don't know if we all need to be pinched here to be woken up from our dreams or what, because this thing looks awesome. I mean, it's got all the same scoops, and I mean, it's heavily camouflaged there in the rear as well with those aggressive rear haunches. It definitely looks like it is still mid-engined, and to lend some credibility to the fact that this may actually be a production version, there's this little camouflaged orb in the front of it that could be some radar-based cruise control type deal, something like that. So, and honestly, I mean, it's got normal kind of mirrors on it and everything. This looks like it's actually a production version. I mean, it looks very, very racy, but it still looks like it could actually be made and be a normal production car. So I don't know what the deal is with this. Most of the other stories about this car, people don't know what's going on. It's a complete surprise to everyone. Maybe Hyundai is going to stun us all with some awesome mid-engine hot hatchback that obviously, if it's mid-engine, will most likely just be a two-seater and get rid of all the hatchback usability. But a mid-engine hot hatch, I mean, that would really flip the Focus RS on its head. You know, it's very, very impressive. So just have to wait and see if this indeed does get made or when they decide to debut, whatever it is. Who knows what auto show it will be coming to. I mean, it looks pretty far along, honestly, based off of these spy photos. So, I mean, who knows? It could be as soon as the LA Motor Show, Detroit, Geneva, I don't even know, but that is a very welcome and nice surprise to see. Another nice surprise this past week is that Porsche was spied testing the 2017 911 GT3, which is getting a facelift, it looks like, and it's a lot sleeker and a lot simpler looking. A lot of people say it looks a lot better than the current version. Now, this is just a little light refresh, a Mark II version, so to speak. This isn't an all-new version, but it does look very, very nice here, and we know that now the GT3 for the 2017 year here is going to be getting a manual transmission again, which is also great news. And so yeah, not much more to really say about it. Of course, they'll probably have updated infotainment and stuff on the inside, all the same improvements that they're going to be, you know, doing to all the other future refresh versions of the 911 as well. But anyway, really, really awesome to see that out running around there. It looks great. Another thing that looks awesome, all kinds of good news this week. Mercedes officially launched ahead of the LA Auto Show next month the 2018 Mercedes-AMG E63 and E63S, which now, I mean, the Germans sometimes go pretty mild with their, you know, styling of their AMG versions and the M versions and all that kind of stuff. This looks so angry and aggressive and in your face. I think that is super cool looking. Probably the best looking AMG Mercedes, I think, you know, as far as sedans go in a while. That is really awesome looking. Very cool interior too. It's got lots of, you know, LED stuff going on there, and just looks really sweet and very exciting. BMW take note here as far as interiors go. But yeah, I mean, it's really impressive too as far as the stats for this thing. So it has a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, same as all the other, you know, Mercedes AMG products, really. And this trim, though, 603 horsepower for the E63S, 627 pound-feet of torque, and it's paired with a 4MATIC all-wheel drive system. But wait, it gets better. So as far as 0 to 60 time and stuff with the all-wheel drive, 3.3 seconds 0 to 60, which now, if you compare it to the Cadillac CTS-V, which has 650 horsepower, that does it in 3.7 seconds. And the V still has a higher top speed of 200, 200 versus this has, I think will do 186, but that's the large electronically limited. And then, but even if you go for the non-S version of the E63, that does 563 horsepower and 553 pound-feet of torque, but still only takes 3.4 seconds to get to 60. So, I mean, really super fast sedans that only are beaten by the top trim Tesla Model S and stuff. And they all use the same 9-speed AMG speed shift multi-clutch transmission. But the best thing is, this E63S has drift mode. So, this all-wheel drive system, they said if you put it into race mode and switch off stability control and activate the manual mode on the transmission, it'll put it into completely rear-wheel drive mode. So you get the best of both worlds. You get all-wheel drive, grip, and traction whenever you want it, and then all you do is flip it into those modes, and you can take your life into your own hands and put it in drift mode and slide around, get all the same great rear-wheel drive stuff that you always had before with the E63s. So, I mean, home run here for Mercedes. This is amazing. It's so exciting to see. Now, it's going to be revealed officially in LA next month. We already have all the official pictures here. And the pricing, we don't know just yet. I'm sure it's going to cost a pretty penny. And they said it's going to be on sale here in the US starting next summer. So a little bit of a time to wait here, but I think it's going to be well worth the wait. That thing is going to be epic. So very great to see that. Other Mercedes news that's not so great. Mercedes debuted the X-Class, which is their first truck. Very exciting looking. It's just a concept, but they say that this very, very closely resembles the production version that they're going to be building. But here's the kicker. They're not selling it in the #1 pickup truck country in the world. So we're not getting it here in America, which is maddening to those that wanted a luxury truck outside of, the American stuff and, Nissan and whatever. So this truck will be sold in Latin America, Australia, South Africa, and Europe, and maybe a few other small markets, but that's basically it. Which, I mean, not that many people, I mean, I guess some people, in some of those more rural areas do, buy a lot of trucks, but Europe and stuff, don't see a whole lot of pickup trucks running around there. So I think this is a huge missed opportunity. I don't know if it's a tax issue or what it is, but they are choosing to not sell it in the States, at least for right now. Now, it's going to come with diesel engines only for, whenever it's sold overseas there, and it's actually based on the Nissan MP300 Navara, and so it's loosely based on that platform, but it's obviously completely new, as you can see, exterior, interior, heavily modified and stuff like that, just, some basic platform sharing there with the Nissan, but very, very impressive looking thing, both in the off-road version and the normal city-going version, I suppose. But just really unfortunate they're not selling it here in the States. And hopefully they'll change that decision pretty quickly. Mini this past week officially unveiled the 2017 Mini Countryman, which, and they also unveiled their first plug-in hybrid version. So, this is a lot bigger than the old Countryman. It's 8.1 inches longer, 1.3 inches wider, and so it's the biggest Mini ever built. But it's kind of crazy the way that they've decided to bundle this thing, I guess we should say. So, very versatile, whatnot. Now, it's the first version to have a plug-in hybrid here, and so it's called the Cooper SE Countryman All-4. So what it does is it has the 1.5-liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine with a 7.6 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery and an 87 horsepower electric motor. It will do 221 horsepower all total and 284 pound-feet of torque. And that actually makes it the fastest of the Countrymen, surprisingly. It's 6.8 seconds, 0 to 60. Unfortunately, though, the gas tank's like a 9.5 gallon gas tank here on the hybrid version, so not great for a highway cruiser, but for around town and stuff should be great. If you want to get rid of the electric stuff, you can get a standard either. They basically are using the same engines you get in the Clubman, so you can either do the standard engine, which is a 1.5 liter turbocharged 3-cylinder engine with 134 horsepower and 162 pound-feet of torque. So a 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. Let's just pause here and think about that. A 3-cylinder turbocharged engine in something that's 8 inches longer than the current Countryman. I mean, so it's going to be a pretty massive, pretty heavy thing, as far as crossovers go. And they're putting a 3-cylinder engine in it. I don't understand that. Because of that, it has an appalling 0 to 60 time of 9.5 seconds. That, I mean, I guess, if you're not a drag racer, who cares? But I feel like you're going to have trouble merging on the highway and something like that. The S version is a lot better. That'll do 189 horsepower and 207 pound-feet of torque. And will feel probably very similar to the, the Countryman, not the Countryman, the Clubman. I get those names confused. The Clubman S that I just did a quick drive video on a couple weeks ago, because this one will do 7.2 seconds 0 to 60, which is about the same as the Clubman. And otherwise, though, the interior looks nice. You know, a little bit watered down over this standard super funky Mini interior, but still looks very distinctive, very Mini. Well done job there on the interior. The exterior, though, I'm not a huge fan of the way it looks, honestly. I think it's a little odd looking. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. But yeah, so interesting to see that nonetheless. Some other not so great news this past week is there's a rumor here that, you know, we've been hearing that there may be a hotter version of the Ford Focus RS that'll be coming out, and it'll be called the RS500. But now apparently within Ford, there's some debating as far as whether or not it would step on the Mustang's toes, because, you know, they kind of, you know, broke down the pricing here, and it's like you can get a 435 horsepower Mustang GT for, you know, $33,000. You can get the 350 horsepower Focus RS for 36 roughly, and so, you know, they're already kind of neck and neck as far as performance when you look at 0 to 60 and all that kind of stuff. And so they're worried that an RS500 would step on the Shelby's toes or something like that, because if it's, you know, a $45,000 hot hatch, it's still expensive for a hot hatch, but if it undercuts the Shelby by 10 grand and is basically as fast as the Shelby probably, you know, there's concerns they could make it too good and, you know, kind of shoot themselves in the foot there. Especially, you know, I mean, the Mustang only had 1 month of not so great sales here this past month. Otherwise, it's been selling spectacularly. But again, you don't want to, you know, whenever the Mustang's not at its high point currently, you know, have something else come out that, you know, further kind of minimizes, you know, the impressiveness of the Mustang or anything. So not sure what they're going to do there with that. Apparently the RS was even hard to get made in the first place and bring it to the States, just because it didn't make sense really from a bean counter standpoint and, you know, the financials and whatnot. But happily, you know, they got it made. So we're just grateful to even have the RS version. This is just getting greedy here, hoping for an RS500, because they said it might be too hardcore for American consumers, but it might not be hardcore enough if they water it down for the European consumers who are the original lovers of the RS. And so there's this whole kind of, it's between a rock and a hard place kind of as far as, you know, what they're going to do with it. And so who knows what's going to end up happening with that. But unfortunate to hear that, but you know, who knows? I'm sure Ford will make the right decision, whatever that may be. Some good news, looks like Jaguar is still working on a new XF Sportbrake, which is the wagon version. So, you know, with the F-Pace SUV, everyone was worried that Jag was ditching the wagons, and Ian Callum a few months ago reassured everyone, no, we're still into wagons, we're still going to do wagons. And so they're working on, obviously you can see a wagon version of the XF here that was, you know, running around doing lap times and stuff, and looks very sleek and, you know, in typical Jag wagon fashion. They always look great. And there's a small chance, supposedly, that this could actually come to the States as well. It is a small chance because wagons, of course, aren't very popular here. Everyone needs an extra 2 inches of ground clearance for some reason, but that may still come to the States in some form, so we'll keep our fingers crossed for that, but very cool to see them at least working on that for those of you lucky enough to get it over in Europe. Something else, though, another not so great announcement is Holden this past week announced that they're working on a new Commodore, which was, of course, that's the car that's being discontinued here next year and will not be built in Australia anymore, which is a very sad thing for Australia. And it's just more bad news because Holden announced there's going to be a new Commodore, hooray, except it's going to be based on the Opel Insignia, the next generation Opel Insignia. For those of us here in America, that's the Buick Regal, a front engine, front wheel drive, and, you know, all wheel drive, you know, platform. And so that this new Opel Insignia, they're going to be completely re-overhauling it, and that will also be front engine, front wheel drive, and then, you know, have an all wheel drive option. And so, yes, you know, it's going to probably, you know, be using the same kind of turbocharged 4-cylinder engines, maybe a V6, and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, those that were hoping for some kind of Chevy SS to, you know, still live on, unless Chevy does something independent of Holden, there's not going to be any kind of part sharing here with Holden, I don't think, anymore, because, you know, I'm sure we'll probably get the new Commodore. It'll probably be a new Buick Regal, I'm guessing, that, you know, they'll continue their partnership with Opel and Buick, kind of sharing models. But aside from that, I don't think, you know, there's going to be any kind of tire smoking Holden Commodore anymore, which is really sad to see. Some other not so great news from GM this past week is GM officially announced that OnStar is now going to be using the IBM Watson artificial intelligence software in their OnStar system, but they're using it to sell ads, essentially. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to have, now GM's going to have select partners that they're going to have here for this OnStar Go is what they're calling it. And so the partners are ExxonMobil, iHeartRadio, Glimpse, Parkopedia, and MasterCard. And so essentially, you know, to kind of illustrate this a little bit, what they'll do is, like, when you're low on gas, it will push a notification saying, hey, there's an Exxon station nearby. You should go get gas there. And you can also make mobile payments through MasterCard's MasterPass kind of program and stuff like that. So you can shop, you can like look for restaurants, all that kind of stuff, which is cool, except that everyone uses their phone for that kind of stuff anyway. And there's no way that this is going to be better than your smartphone. So it's already a losing battle, I think. And on top of that, I'm sure none of this stuff works when you're driving, because that would obviously be an extremely terrible decision as far as distracted driving goes. And so it's probably only going to be available in parks. So who's going to sit in their car, not use their cell phone, and play around on their Chevy MyLink system to do their shopping and stuff? It just kind of boggles my mind. I mean, I can see the Exxon kind of thing making sense, I guess, if you need gas and it automatically, directs you to that kind of stuff. But as far as the other applications, I really don't see how this can be used in a good way, because they said it'll also recommend products to you and things like that, I guess. And it's like, who wants to be getting advertisements at all, but then to be getting them while you're driving? Again, just all seems like a bad idea. I'm not sure what's going on here, but that's just my opinion. Let me know your thoughts about that in the comments below. But very interesting to see that. Some better GM news is huge congrats to them. They took the 2017 Camaro ZL1 around the Nurburgring at a record time of 7 minutes, 29 seconds, and that is faster than, I think it's 2 seconds off an M4 GTS, but Jalopnik actually compiled a list of all the cars that this new Camaro ZL1 is faster than around the Nurburgring. Here is the list if you want to have your mind boggled. It's faster than a Lamborghini Gallardo LP570 Superleggera, faster than a Koenigsegg CCX, Shelby GT350R, Porsche 911 GT2, AMG GTS, McLaren 650S Spider, Jaguar XJ220, Caterham R500 Superlight, and the Trabant. So it's very, very impressive. I mean, we're talking faster than a Koenigsegg, faster than a Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. In Camaro ZL1, all the jokes about handling and American muscle cars can all just go die in a fire, because obviously, at least with the Chevys, they are proving that wrong here with the new Camaro ZL1. That is going to be one heck of a performer. And by the way, the lap time was set in the 10-speed automatic, not in a manual. So again, that 10-speed automatic sounds like it's going to be very, very impressive. And so yeah, you can go watch the lap time. I'll include the link to the video in the description if you want to watch that, but very, very impressive. Something else pretty exciting for those Volkswagen fans out there is that there's going to be a refreshed Volkswagen Golf that's going to be debuting early next month, they're saying. So I'm guessing it could be rolled out at the LA Auto Show here. But the really impressive stuff, now we're probably going to see, it's going to be a refresh for the front end and the back end. It's not going to be a totally new Golf. It's just going to be, kind of a styling update, I suppose, on the existing platform. But it should have, all kinds of new LEDs and look, a lot sharper and stuff. But the big news here is the interior. Now, I'm sure it's going to be an optional interior. I don't think it's going to be standard or anything. But listen to this. Volkswagen is going to be putting the Audi Virtual Cockpit in the Volkswagen Golf, and it's going to be called, according to them, the Volkswagen Digital Cockpit, and so it's going to be a 12.5-inch display there in front of the driver, and then on top of that, they're going to also have a much, much better infotainment system, because the one in the current Golf is a little underwhelming, in the times that I've reviewed it here. So the new one's going to have a 9.5-inch display, which is massive, and again, that's only for the higher-end models, most likely, but still very, very impressive, and we know what it's basically going to look like, because they showed this Golf R Touch concept back at the 2015 Consumer Electronics show, and so it's going to be, if it looks like that, which is basically what it sounds like it's going to be, is exactly that. That is going to really set it apart from the competition and make it just light years ahead of everyone else as far as advanced interior and stuff goes, and could make the Golf R a lot more desirable whenever you compare the interior, the way that concept looks, to the WXS Ti and stuff like that. It makes them look downright old-fashioned. Even the Focus RS looks old-fashioned. So we'll have to wait and see if that actually materializes and looks as cool as that, but very promising sounding there. And as far as engines and stuff, probably will all be ported over the same basic stuff, maybe slightly tweaked for better fuel economy and slightly better performance, but wouldn't expect any big changes there. Other great Volkswagen news is they were spied testing a Tiguan R running around the Nurburgring. Now, they already have an R line version in Europe. We don't even have the new Tiguan yet here in the States. It should be arriving soon, but they're working on an R version. They said because this has different exhaust pipes, it has the same quad exhaust of the Golf R, and the Tiguan shares a platform with the Golf, so it's very easy to port over all the Golf R's internals and the mechanicals and whatnot, and just toss them into the Tiguan. And with how hot all these crossovers are and stuff, and Mercedes doing the GLA, AMG, and all that kind of stuff, this could make a whole lot of sense. Make a Golf R with more ground clearance, and hooray, Americans love it. And I think that's kind of what they're going for here, and should have probably the same roughly 300 horsepower as the Golf R, and would make for a really fun little crossover there. So very cool to see that. And then the last thing this week is that Hyundai has unveiled the 2018 Azera. Now this is the Korean version, but it will most likely look very, very similar here once it comes to the States next year. But it looks pretty good. It's not so distinctive there in the front, but the back end, those taillights resemble a Dodge Charger's a whole lot to me. I don't know about you guys, but otherwise, though, it looks very nice and luxurious there on the inside. Typical kind of nice, Hyundai interior. And, it's a good-looking thing here from the few images we have, but curious to see more angles of that to see if it looks a little more different than a Charger there from the back end. But a good-looking car nonetheless. But anyway, that's it for all the news this week, guys. I'll send it back to me in the car. Alrighty, I'll leave you guys with a nice little acceleration here. Like I always do. Lots and lots of wheel spin. This thing, oh man, especially in the rain here, it can be a little bit of a handful. The traction control systems do a good job of keeping everything in line, but it's always fun. But anyway, thank you guys very much for watching. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Take care.